Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Tim Eddie Hughes for this one. Amy has 8 cards in hand and discards due to hand size at the end of her turn. The card she discarded was Swarm, being of bees. Can she play this card with its Mayhem cost? Alright, so to answer this question, let's first recall that you discard due to hand size as the first game action that happens in the cleanup step. Now, this is a problem because normally no players get priority to cast spells or activate abilities during the cleanup step. Even though Swarm has flash, that doesn't mean you can cast it anytime you want. You have to have priority to cast it. This means this trick is not normally possible. There are ways that you can get priority during the cleanup step, but you would need to have an ability trigger or have a state-based action happen. I talked about this in more detail in my episode on time stop versus plagiarize, but the easiest way to get it to work out would be if there were a triggered ability that triggered when you discard a card. If this happens, each player will get priority to cast spells or activate abilities in response to that triggered ability once it's put onto the stack, and also after it resolves. As the reminder text on Mayhem points out, timing rules still apply if you're casting a spell this way, so this trick would only work out if the Mayhem card has flash or if there's some other reason that you would be able to cast it at instant speed. Now, if you were playing in any of the sets that included the Madness mechanic, this answer might have surprised you a little bit, because, in fact, Madness actually does let you cast a card that you discarded due to hand size. To see why this works, let's recall some important facts about how Madness operates. First, you discard the card. The Madness ability makes it so that the card goes into the exile zone rather than the graveyard. Then, there's a triggered ability that triggers when this card is exiled this way. As that ability resolves, there's an instruction that gives the card's owner permission to cast the card for its Madness cost. And when an effect of a spell or ability includes an instruction to cast a spell, you cast it right then and there, during the resolution of that spell or ability. This bypasses the normal system of priority and even timing restrictions, meaning that you would be able to cast that Madness spell even if it's a creature or some other sorcery speed only spell. Well, that also raises the question of how these two mechanics interact together. This was requested specifically by viewer Hunter Oka. Let's say Amy discards a Fiery Temper due to hand size while she controls Green Goblin. What happens? Now, to answer this, we'll go through exactly what officially happens in the game, step by step. First, Amy discards Fiery Temper. Because of Madness, she puts this card into the exile zone, not into her graveyard. This causes the Madness ability to trigger. Next, all damage wears off of permanence, and this turn and until end of turn effects end. After that, triggered abilities go on the stack, including the one from Madness. After this, Amy gets priority. Even though Amy has discarded Fiery Temper this turn, she cannot cast it with Mayhem because it's in the exile zone right now, meaning Green Goblin isn't giving it Mayhem. Even if Fiery Temper had Mayhem naturally, she couldn't cast it because the Mayhem ability only gives permission to cast that card from your graveyard, not from any other zone. As the Madness triggered ability resolves, Amy will have the opportunity to cast Fiery Temper for 1 red mana. If she does, that spell will go onto the stack and eventually resolve, just like normal. Otherwise, Fiery Temper will be put into Amy's graveyard. Before the game progresses, each player will get priority again after the Madness ability resolves, meaning Amy will be able to cast Fiery Temper via Mayhem at this point. Now, normally, when a card changes zones, it becomes a new object with no connection to its previous self, but Madness has a special exception that allows effects to see it as the card that was discarded. Casting the spell at this point would cost 1 and 2 red because the Mayhem cost is equal to the card's mana cost. After this cleanup step is over, the game will start a new cleanup step. Now, one kind of interesting fact about this situation is that the time when Amy has an opportunity to cast the spell with either mechanic is after until end of turn and this turn effects end, meaning that she could cast Fiery Temper either way, even if Nick had played a Silence earlier in that turn. I mentioned this in my video about Monument to Endurance with 8 cards in hand, and I talked about a related phenomenon in my video about Fiery Temper and Sarah Angel. Observant viewers might have also wondered whether it would be possible for you to use Mayhem, which uses this turn in its CR definition, after the point when this turn effects end in the cleanup step. The answer is that you can, and the reasoning is discussed in the Monument to Endurance video that I cited earlier. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.